Hello, beautiful people. Welcome or welcome back. I am Andréa B, and I'm just going to jump right in. Have my steamy beverage here, vanilla latte. It's too steamy, so I won't be sipping it right now. But cheers to you, whatever you're sipping on. Now, I'm gonna break this down. I have an itch in my nose. So, I think women are lying to themselves by saying they don't want men, they don't need men, they don't care what men think. We do. I know I do. I believe majority of women do as well. If you want to attract men, there's a part of you that cares what they think, because it'll be in your mind to ask yourself, what do men like? What do men want? What can I do to attract men? How can I attract men if I want to attract them? There's a part of our brains that tells us if we want something, we have to do something to get it. And it doesn't have to be grand gestures. A woman can sit and men can be attracted to her. A woman can twerk, shake her booty, men will be attracted to her. Now, if you want a man of God, a man that is living for God and wants to be on fire for God, working toward it. He's not perfect in his faith, but he's working on it. If you want a man like that and you haven't found one, you may tell yourself, ask yourself why. And a lot of times, women do not get the man that they want, and a quality man is at that, because he's turned off by your behavior, your attitude, your posture. And I know there are so many exceptions to the rule. I want to speak strictly on a woman that wants a man, and if a woman that's constantly being rejected by the men that she wants, and understanding why that's happening. If you are constantly running into and entertaining men that you say are using you, are no good, liars, manipulators, abusers, why entertain that? And you are the common denominator. If that's the only type of man you keep running into, relationship after relationship after relationship, what is it about you that you keep running into the same type of man, that you keep giving yourself to the same type of man for it to not work out? And so chances are you are not doing much to attract a quality man, because you are a walking red flag to him. And I can speak on this confidently because I listen to men. I'm engaged to a man. I listen to him. We listen to stories together about what men want, what they don't want, what ruins relationships. I am speaking to women because I know what it's like to attract men, want to attract men. That's all I've ever known and desired. since I was a little girl, I've always desired marriage, having a family, and I've had crushes on boys and men as I got older. So I know what it's like to have men in mind and wanting their attention so that I can enter into a marriage. And I will talk more about becoming a wife as well. I am not married yet, as I just said. Again, I am confident enough to speak on this, even though I'm not married, because I have enough evidence personally to know how to know what a healthy and stable relationship looks like. I'm in one now. Thank you, Lord. I have been in unstable relationships, toxic, unhealthy relationships. So I know how I got there, and that's what helped me get here by changing myself and seeking differently in men, choosing men differently. That's where I had control. So I want to also speak to the women on using your control to choose differently in men. I've heard people say before, you're so young, or you've never been married, what do you know about this? Especially as a marriage and family therapist, a lot of people question that. And whatever, I think common sense, using your brain, using logic will tell you what marriage should look like. It's in the Bible. I haven't been married yet. But again, not just from my relationships, if all of my previous relationships ended in heartbreak, this is the first time I've also been engaged, so I know what it takes to become engaged as well. I know how I got here. And it's not so much about the titles. I think people miss that part. Yes, titles speak volumes, but the quality, the nature of the relationship speaks louder. People won't care that you're married or engaged if they see you and your spouse, your partner, significant other, whatever word you want to use, hitting each other, yelling at each other. They're going to say, oh, you're married? You probably shouldn't be acting like that. Slapping each other around and cursing each other out and being disrespectful, intentionally hurting each other. Oh, you're married? Okay, forget the fact that y'all are married. Let's talk about how did you two get in this, and how can you make it work so that you're not in this ugly toxic cycle. That's what's most important. So I don't care if people want to question my expertise on this subject. I am a human freaking being. So that's my rant on my credentials, not just as a therapist, but a human. I know what it takes. And if you're not in a relationship now, you should be learning what it takes to have a healthy, stable relationship before you get in one. Because if you don't know, you will find out. And some of us have to find out. Sometimes people don't teach this to us. Life just happens, things go wrong, we don't like, and it doesn't feel good. And let that be a lesson to not go down the same path again. If you accidentally cut your finger while cooking and chopping up some food, that's enough for you to know, okay, I don't want to get cut again. That did not feel good. So let me protect myself so that I don't accidentally cut myself in the future. Now, could it happen again? Yes, but at least you know to take precaution. And I want this video to serve as a precaution before attracting that man of God. If you are in a relationship now, let this video serve as a precaution for you to assess that relationship, assess the man that you're with, and vet him. It's not too late to do that. That doesn't mean, I'm not telling you you gotta leave and you should stay. That I don't know you enough to say all that, but you'll probably know based on some things I'm saying in this video. So, I've also listened to the men I used to date and the complaints that they would have. Respect, they desire respect, a woman that is not confrontational. Men want to be heard, and you may say, well, men don't speak. When are men speaking? And I want him to communicate more. He doesn't communicate as much. Well, when he does, just listen. Hear him out. What is he saying? Because some men just talk out the side of their booty hole. And it sounds like nonsense. That is why I say logic. Common sense is not so common, but with the sense you have, listen to people, ask questions, and a man can be telling you, I'm going to buy you a house. I have this great opportunity for you, and you may be ready to jump at the opportunity. But this whole time, this man has never been good for keeping his word. He's left you on red, ignored you, but he's promising you, he promised you a house. And you're jumping at it and saying, oh, he dogged me out before, but he must really love me because he got me a house this time. Talking outside of his booty hole. Absolutely not. So that's where that common sense comes in, and where you can say, you know what? Thank you for thinking of me enough to give me a house, but right now I'm just not comfortable taking that leap with you because there's some things I think we should work on first. I remember telling a man that I dated that I don't remember what issue we ran into, but I remember saying we should communicate about this. And he wanted to avoid it at all cost. Tried to distract me with his charm and trying to use intimacy as a band-aid. And I'm thinking, let's pump the brakes here. We have serious issues that you don't want to talk about, and how are we going to get through this without talking about it? Didn't work out. Clearly, I'm not with him anymore, and thank God, because what I wanted, he was not demonstrating enough. And a lot of women fall for it when a man gives little crumbs. Women hold on to those crumbs, and you're showing him that he can just give you a little taste to keep you coming, and you're holding your hands out hoping that he'll just give you a little bit more. And sometimes men, they don't. The wrong man for you will not give you more of that stability. He's the wrong person for you to be with. So how can you expect that stability from him? The man that you want stability from, you are avoiding, you're running from, calling him a lame probably, and your idea of a man and instability is likely flawed because you're not used to it. And when it comes around, I know a lot of women question if it's real, or women are scared of giving themselves to a guy because they're thinking he's going to hurt me anyway, and I'm not going to waste time on this man. It's not going to work out. When in reality, that's the man that you should be with, the one that you are constantly passing up because he doesn't fit your idea of what a man should be. When women are used to pain, it's familiar. You may be telling yourself, I know what to expect with this guy. And if he can just change this about himself, if he just works on this, I know we can make it through. And pay attention to what he is showing you. If he's not showing you that he is willing to do the work, if he is showing you that he's going to waste your time, he doesn't care too much about you, believe his actions. It is a waste of time to even try to change the wrong guy for you. That is a project that you are taking on, and the whole time that you've spent trying to build him up and change him and mold him, you're going to be so burnt out and exhausted that I think men, and especially a man of God, will already have that desire to grow and improve. And so I'm speaking off of personal experience here, or just my opinion on what I think people should already be doing before they enter a relationship. So when I talk about a man that is showing that he doesn't care, a man that's wasting your time, I don't care what excuse he tries to use. Yes, he's had a terrible past. Okay, understandable. And that does not mean he should get away with treating you like crap. If a man is so hurt and broken from his past that he can't even be consistent enough with respecting you and being loyal and kind, he's just not ready to be in a relationship. And I will say that's not for you to decide. If he's not ready, that's his business. But you have permission to walk away from a man like that. He's showing you that he does not have what it takes to be in a relationship, a stable relationship right now. Believe him. You can say, you know what? I know you have room to grow. I understand your past. I know it was hard on you. And this is just not what I want in a relationship. You don't keep your word. You take advantage of me. I won't allow it. That is the key, is we can put the blame on men all day long if we wanted to. He's trash, he's nothing, he's a bum, he's a scrub. Okay, but are you allowing him to take advantage of you? Are you allowing him to manipulate you? How many times did he get to treat you like trash before you realized he was no good for you? Fool me once, Shame on you. Fool me twice. Can't put the blame on you. Now, this is where personal preferences come in, because I can't tell you what your deal breakers should be. There's many deal breakers. My hope is that abuse of any kind is a deal breaker: verbal, mental, emotional, physical. I think respect is a non-negotiable. I think kindness is a non-negotiable. And those are just examples. So, as I speak on this, when I say don't accept it, I'm not trying to tell you how many chances to give, but I think some things don't deserve a second chance. And for example, if I went on a date with someone and the first time I met them, all of a sudden they chased me around with a knife. What the heck? Absolutely not. I'm not giving you a second chance. This is ridiculous. Next. That's what I mean. Is some things don't need second chances, explanations, just run for the hills. But sometimes I may have to have conversations with my fiance more than once, because I want to make sure we have an understanding. And choose wisely, because some things just don't need to be discussed again, especially if you can see that he's working on it. And I think a lot of women are over explaining themselves. They are having multiple conversations that they don't need to, and it's causing more pain if you have to keep telling him that he's doing something that hurts you, that lying to you is hurtful. It's hard for you to trust him because he's lying to you and he keeps doing it. He is showing you. But if he leaves a sock on the floor or something else, doesn't clean something up right away, is it the end of the world? I don't think it needs to be. I'm being realistic, and a lot of married folk would probably tell you the same thing, that don't sweat the little things. A sock on the floor is not the worst thing ever. And is it something you can talk about? Yeah, sure. But if it continues to happen, no. How big of an issue is it? Is he leaving his sock on the floor every day? All right, let's talk about it. It's happening enough that why is this a repetitive cycle? But if every once in a while there's a sock on the floor, have some kindness in your heart to just say, oh, let me pick it up for him. Maybe he didn't know he dropped it. Maybe he forgot it was there. He's been so busy that he's distracted with something else, or maybe this is just a hard time for him. I can be kind enough to pick this sock up off the floor. That, and I didn't get into it just yet, but that can be a preparation for becoming a wife. It's just kindness and generosity, compassion for your man, and knowing that he may slip up and he's human. Now, not all slip ups, like I said, and I'm using this example and breaking it down when I say it's not every day, because a lot of women will say, I'm not his maid, I'm not his mom, I'm not cleaning up after him. Well, yes, you don't have to be all those things. You can be his wife. You're expected to be his wife to be. And is it really going out of your way to do kind things for someone? And that's another issue that gets women in trouble, is that they are selfish and thinking about what can they get out of this, not wanting to give so much to men. And I want to go back to that earlier example of how you may be passing up the man for you because you're not giving, you're so guarded, and you're not letting him in because you're afraid of getting hurt, afraid of being taken advantage of, and you didn't even give him a fair chance. You are likely taking out what other men did on you, did to you on him, on this innocent man that just asked you if you wanted to go out for a cup of coffee. All of a sudden, you don't even want to smile with him. You don't even want to say thank you when he opens the door for you. You're calling him cheap for taking you out for coffee. And whoa, what did he do to deserve that? He's giving you his time. He's showing you that he is interested in getting to know you, and you're already treating him like trash. But the men that treat you like trash, you're constantly inviting into your life. It is ludicrous. I know because I have been there. When I say every relationship before this one was trash, I am not exaggerating. None of them worked. None of them came close to work because I was choosing wrong and I behaved poorly. So I can speak on this with confidence because I had to shift my perspective. Even when I knew better, I was still not doing better until I broke out of that cycle. I had to work on choosing battles, listening to men, and not being deceived by people telling me what men want, and just focusing on what I want in a man and how to, not just what to look out for, but being so comfortable with turning away the men that are not for me. Because I was so desperate for a relationship that I was accepting just anybody. And I can only blame myself for that. A lot of people get out of relationships and they'll say, "Oh, he wasn't ish anyway, and his breath stank, and he was just ugly, and he had those little neck braids, and he wasn't worth my time." And okay, but you stay with them for 4, 5, 6 months, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, had some babies with them, constantly gave your body to them just for it to not work out, and all of a sudden he's trash. You didn't know that before? These are the questions that I had to face, is that I knew things were not working with the men I dated before because I was there. Constant fighting, bickering, having the same question or conversations about, are you lying to me? You did it again. You cheated, and I'm giving you another chance, and you're constantly proving that you're not keeping your word. You're not respecting me enough to have conversations. You're just ghosting me. And I was accepting it. I was showing men that they could treat me any kind of way because I was desperate for love, desperate for marriage, and I got myself in trouble. I went through that, and I chose to go through that when I didn't have to. And so because I've gone through that, I know I don't want to go back, and I am going to do everything in my power to make sure I don't go back to that. Even before my fiance and I started dating, I told myself after my previous breakup that if I had to be single for a very long time, till I'm 40 or 50, so be it, because that means I will be working on myself, vetting the men that are showing interest, and if I'm interested in them, taking my time to assess their nature and their qualities before committing any further. And I didn't have to wait till I was 40, because he was right there unexpectedly. And here we are. It'll be 3 years in March of 2025. And that's what I mean when I say fighting to not go back. I knew I wanted a healthy relationship. I knew I was tired of crying to God and saying, why me? What did I do to deserve to be treated like this? I was showing men that they could treat me like that. So you may say, oh, I don't deserve this, you don't deserve that. Well, do you deserve more if you are, or better if you are not putting yourself in a position for better? How are you taking care of yourself? I was not taking care of myself enough to know how to break that cycle. So I had to tell myself that no, this is not how I want to be treated. This is not how I want to be spoken to. This behavior is unacceptable for me, and I'm going to do everything I can to not fall in this trap. It's not about blaming the men. Sure, did I try to hold them accountable? Yes. Didn't work out because I was blamed for things. I was manipulated. I was called all sorts of names, and I let myself believe that I was the worst and that I was a terrible person and everything was my fault, because that is what most of the men I dated tried to convince me of. And I had to step back and say, wait a minute, this is not fair for me. Am I responsible or to blame for everything? No. However, the things that I am responsible for, I can improve and work on. And so once I began to do that, same issues are coming up where I'm communicating with respect and kindness, not getting it in return. Well, I'm listening and showing that I want to understand you rather than be right all the time, wasn't always reciprocated. And that is what I mean by what can I do to work on myself? Because after a while, yes, did I want to attract the man of God, the man that God had for me? Yes. But I cared so much about myself that I said, let me improve my life today, whether a man is here or not, because I want to care and love myself so much that I am actually showing it and demonstrating it. And once you are tired of all the labels being called selfish and rude, confrontational, look at why you are called these names. And once you are sick and tired of being called these names, you will have that fire in you to say, you know what? Let me prove that that is not me. Take accountability and say, you know what? You're right. I was acting a fool. I was rude. I was being disrespectful. I treated you poorly, and it won't happen again. But not just saying it, but actually showing it. And that is what women should look for in men, is that he's not just using his words and sweet talking you, but his actions are matching. Now, I want to check my latte for a moment. Take a pause, see how if it's cooled down. It's good. This is this donut shop vanilla latte. No, they're not paying me. It's so good that I don't need to add creamer, and I like that. It's great. Hard to come by with some coffees. Now, I know I loosely explained what it takes to step into engagement, marriage, preparing to be a wife. How do you take care of yourself? A man of God will be looking for that. So if a man sees that you are cursing everybody out, that you're constantly blaming everybody else and not taking responsibility, and no home training, he will be turned off by that. And again, like I said earlier, men are always saying that they want peace, they don't want confrontation. Men do not like things that are too hard, especially in women. And it's in the Bible. I'm going to show you all because I've been talking, and some of you are probably saying, what does she know? Okay, well, forget what I know for a second and let's go back to where it came from. In the Bible, it talks about a quarrelsome wife. Proverbs 27:15. Ladies, go to that. I know you want to be a Proverbs 31 woman. What about the rest of Proverbs? A quarrelsome wife is as annoying as constant dripping on a rainy day. Stopping her complaints is like trying to stop the wind or trying to hold something with greased hands. You know how hard that is? Trying to hold something with greased hands is gonna slip right out. Trying to stop the wind. Do you think men want life to be that hard for them that they have to, I'm trying to control this woman, she's slipping right through my fingers? All right, forget it. That's too much. What about being a woman that he can keep track of in a way that it is not too difficult, that he's able to follow where you're going in a way of where it's leading towards something? Because when things are too difficult, when things are and I'm using this analogy of greased hands. If something is constantly slipping from your grip, you should be thinking, well, how do I stop this from happening? Maybe your hands shouldn't be greased. Maybe you're going to put gloves on that aren't greased to keep that grip. And so that if that becomes too hard, a man will not be attracted to you, because there's nothing that he's probably thinking, there's nothing I can do to stop this woman from being controlling and confrontational. She's just always yelling no matter what I do or say. You're yelling at him for breathing. You're yelling at him for the way he walks, the way he holds his fork. My goodness. He is probably going to think, am I good enough for her? There's nothing I can do to satisfy her. And men love to satisfy their women. Men are constantly thinking, how can I satisfy her? I heard this saying of, you can tell how something about if a woman is loved on and happy and glowing and she has a man in her life, he is doing something right. Based on that woman, if a man is with a quarrelsome wife, constantly complaining, yelling, controlling, behaving in a nasty way, people are going to look at him and say, that's you? Ooh, how do you deal with that? There has to be something wrong with him to be dealing with a woman like that. And they're going to say, well, are you causing her problems? What's going on? And same for you, women. The man in your life, if he's acting that way, out of control, yelling, constantly trying to put you down, people will be looking at you too. How can you be with a man like that? I don't know how you do it. What do people say? Oh, that couldn't be me. Oh, you a good one for that one. That's not a compliment. That is not a compliment. So, it's also in the Bible. Oh, it's right here too. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. This is Proverbs 27:17. And I'm thinking of, there's a verse that talks about slow to anger. I'm bringing that up because, yes, we all have quirks, we have things that we need to work on. Another thing I think people need to have before entering relationships is enough emotional control that you are not flipping off at every single moment. Slow to anger means, yes, this is getting under your skin. You probably want to go off, but when people are angry, they lose it so badly that they snap. People black out, ended up in jail, ended up doing something they regret, all because they were angry. And anger is an emotion. Feel that anger. Not telling you you don't have a right to be angry, but how you show it definitely matters. So you can acknowledge that you're angry and say, you know what? I'm not going to stoop to a lower level. I'm going to have class. I'm not going to be disrespectful. Even if you are being disrespected, you don't have to stoop to that level. Let your silence be enough. Let your disappearance be enough. Walk out of someone's life and say, you know what? I see what you did there. I see that you're trying to hurt me. You're no good. You're trying to take advantage of me. You know what? You don't have to curse him out and say you're a bum and that's why you don't have to do all that. You can observe, you can acknowledge and say, okay, you don't have to take it. And I think a lot of women fight, they have that fight response first because you're trying to show men that you're not to be played with. All the MFs and I can't stand you anyway, and that's why you'll never be nothing. If you're telling a man that and fighting, you're using your words to fight, even laying hands on a man, what are you trying to prove to him? I think you are trying to prove that, again, you're not to be played with. It doesn't have to take all that, though. You walking away can show that you are not to be played with. So you don't have to compromise your good character. You don't have to do something that you'll regret because sometimes it's not worth it. Now, do I think you should fight for your life? Yes. Do I think we have a right to defend ourselves when necessary? Yes. And that can look differently. If your first defense mechanism is to curse somebody out and quick to grab a knife or slash some tires, you are probably doing way too much. Like, why? What's going on in your life that you have to constantly go to the extremes to defend yourself? Shouldn't take all that. So when a man shows you that he's not the one for you, it can be as simple as, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. Doesn't have to be a fight. You don't have to yell. Even if he tries to yell and call you out your name, it can be as simple as, I don't want to hear this. This conversation is over. I'm not taking this. Yes, protect yourself, but how you do it matters. And men will be looking for that. So I want to make sure I didn't forget about the scripture about slow to anger. And why I bring that up is because, let me read the scripture first. I'm getting ahead of myself. James 1:19. Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Quick to listen. Yes, ladies, listen to what men are saying. You want to know what men like? Listen to them. They will tell you. And then you get to decide if you want to be liked by them. A man could say, I like women that sleep with other women, and I like women that do drugs, and I like women that rob people and shoot up the clubs. If you want to be that type of woman for him, that is your business. But just know what you're getting yourself into. It doesn't take a rocket science to know what stealing and club shootouts can turn into. You don't need to be, you don't need a degree to know that. It's all over TV. It's all over the news. But if a man is saying, I want a woman that has great hygiene and is at least invested in improving her hygiene, the physical, the mental hygiene, the emotional hygiene, the spiritual hygiene. I want a woman that is kind and generous and understanding, compassionate, that is selfless at times and knows how to speak up for herself in a kind way. That sounds pleasant. If you want to become that woman, awesome. because that is what men of God are going to be looking for. If he's not looking for that, run. If that man is looking for you to be the ride or die, and he's in danger and putting you in danger, absolutely not. You need to run from that man, because that is not a man of God. If you want a man of God, but you're choosing the opposite, people are going to say, well, do you really want a man of God? I can't tell. I cannot tell. Could have fooled me. You did fool me. You told me you want a man of God, and I see you with the spawn of Satan. What's going on? They won't believe you. They won't believe you. So, also the slow to speak. Yes, 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 yes. Sometimes, and I want to wrap this up all with the slow to get angry too, because sometimes we speak too quickly. We're ready to clap back and respond to be right instead of the listening to understand. We're listening to prove a point, and a man is going to get tired of that. And on the sense of men being leaders, if you want a man to lead you, you have to be willing to listen, because where is he trying to lead you? And knowing when to speak up and ask questions, and when it's time to not clap back, that's the word that's still circulating in my head, but there's another word I'm thinking, or challenge, or maybe push back a little bit, because this is where a lot of women feel that they're going to be controlled and molded into something that, just because this is what a man wants, they're thinking, well, what about my autonomy, and he's not the boss of me. It's not about a man becoming the boss of you. It's about a leader will tell you what they want you to do, what they think you should do. Yes, you will always have a choice in if you want to do that or not. And sometimes where a man wants to lead you does not need to be discussed, because you can hear and see that he is trying to lead you towards progress and growth and health and stability and safety and comfort, all the things that help relationships. If a man is saying, I want to take you with me to go rob this bank, he's telling you where he's leading you. What in the world? Now, if a man says, I want to lead you towards a great career opportunity, and then you find out you're going to rob a bank, yes, he did deceive you. And again, you have a choice. But if a man says, I have a great opportunity for you, and it's actually, he's keeping his word, and it's legit, and it's not a scam, he's not trying to hurt you, that is what you're looking for. Some things don't have to be questioned and pushed back on. It's okay to push back, but knowing when to. And I think the slow to speak is standing out to me, because I think how we speak matters. I'm not telling you you have to stay quiet. I'm not telling you that women don't have a right to use their voice, but how you use it matters. And it's all here. Quick to listen, slow to speak. Because if you take your time, one, if you're listening, you can know what in the heck you'll be responding to anyway. And if you're slow to speak, you can pay attention to how you want it to come out. Do you want to sound pleasant? Because if you're yelling and you're rude, you're showing people that they're going to think, well, this is what you want. If you're telling people, I don't mean to be rude, I don't mean to be disrespectful, well, don't be disrespectful. How can you take that out of yourself? How can you stop yourself from getting to that point? Slow to speak. Think about what you want to say, how you want it to come out before you say it. If you don't want to yell, don't yell. And I think that's where a lot of women forget their control or lose their control, because you're behaving in a way that you don't want to. You know you have control in how you behave. So that's why you're also slow to get angry, because again, when we're angry, we usually do things we regret. So how can you slow it down and say, you know what? I'm so angry, I could throw something across the room, but I won't though, because I care about this thing. Why would I want to throw this? I care about it. I care about my wall. What if it breaks and then I have a bigger mess to clean up? It's just too much. Don't create problems for yourself. These are essential tools to preparing for marriage, a stable, healthy relationship. The Bible is full of many examples, and most importantly, it's going to require honesty, because women are very good at deceiving men and trickery. So he will be looking for consistency. Are you backing up what you say? And if you're not honest, a man of God wouldn't want to deal with that. Why should he trust you? You're telling him that you say, "Oh, I'm nice. The people I work with tell me all the time that I'm the nicest person they've ever met." And then he sees you interact with people. He's thinking, "Wait, why your coworkers think you're the nicest person in the world? Something must be wrong with them, because I see the way you treat them and that's not nice. I don't believe that." Or if he finds out, if he says, "All right, your coworkers sound cool, let's hang out with them," and every time you try to plan something, "Oh, they're unavailable, they canceled," and he's gonna be thinking, well, I see how you treated the lady at the restaurant. I see how rude you were on the phone with the customer service rep. And every time we try to hang out with your coworkers, they're canceling. Maybe they don't like you. Maybe they didn't tell you that. Maybe they're lying to you and telling you you're the nicest person they've ever met. But if it were true, he'd be able to tell, because the results will do the talking. That's another reason I think being slow to speak can be valuable, is because silence is golden. Silence is louder than a lot of people think. So even if you tell him, "I'm working on not cursing as much, I'm working on being kinder," he will be paying attention to that. And he will say, "Okay, I can see that you are trying. I can see that you're putting in the work. It's not easy. That's awesome that you had enough restraint in that moment to not go off on this person." So be honest with yourself, because when you're honest with yourself, you will care enough to be honest with other people, and you'll get that in return. Most importantly, out of everything I said, is women are constantly saying they want a man of God, but they're not women of God. So you're demanding. But what are you willing to give? What are you putting out there? Because why should a man just give to you, giving you the world, giving you the best things in life, and you're giving him trash? A man of God does not want that. He's going to get tired. He's going to be burnt out. He's going to run to the next best thing around the corner. And then you'll be thinking, she's not that cute. What does he see in her? He sees peace and stability and comfort and a place to be safe, a person that he can confide in, not constant chaos. That is what a man of God will be looking for. And that is one of the best things I've done for myself. Is I said, I've done harm in the past unintentionally, but my actions said otherwise. And that's what I had to take accountability for. Is I said, you know what? I can admit that I've done things to hurt people, but I just did not know better. I was so stuck in my ways, but that was not an excuse. So I said, you know what? I actually truly care to my core about being kind to people, being loving, and receiving that in return. So because I already have that natural desire, I had to say, well, I don't want to be rude. I don't want people to be rude to me, rather. But what about me? What can I do to work on myself? Because if I'm expecting the world from people, but not willing to give it, that's not fair. So doing that inner work is so important. Giving to myself what I'm asking other people for. And once I learn how to be kind to myself, once I learn how to love myself and step out of my way, I stopped blocking my blessing. I was able to reciprocate that. And now I'm in a place where I can receive it. Changing myself doesn't mean everyone in the world is kind to me. It just means that I'm aware of the people that are kind to me. I can accept it and reciprocate it. And that is part of attracting a man of God, is that he will be looking for that stability. And if you are willing to be that, everything I said throughout this video, pay attention. That's where the work begins. I say I want better. How do I get better? How do I become better for myself? How do I become better for a relationship, kids, everywhere you go? If you're looking for better, what can you do to get that? And it does start with you. So that is all from me for today. This video, at least. I won't say today because who knows what the rest of this day has in store. It is only 3 in the afternoon for me, but I do have some work to do soon, have some clients to see, and a vanilla latte to enjoy. So There will be more on this. The work doesn't end, right? The work continues, because now that I am engaged, there's no slacking. I'm not married yet, and once I become married, no slacking. We don't just arrive and get to just stop the work. We can rest a little bit. The work continues in some way. So, baby steps. I pray that this video touches you in a way that inspires you to grow. It may suck to hear some of these things, and I get it. I had to tell myself the ugly truth as well. I won't say ugly, the harsh truth, harsh reality. I had to face it. I still have to face it. I'm human, just like you. And it is worth it. It's worth it because I get to live progress. I get to feel the progress. I get to see the progress. And it is the best thing in the world to be on the other side of pain. To have a life filled with more pleasure is so rewarding. Because my life in the past, my life in the past, my experiences in the past were not the worst. Not everything was bad. I can look back in my childhood and early 20s and or just my 20s in general. I can look back and see points of pleasure, points where I had fun and enjoyed life. But to be honest, I look back and for a while I've seen a lot of pain, and a lot of it was self-inflicted. So once I stop causing myself pain, and once I stop accepting pain from other people and things, I am on the other side, and it is beautiful. It is so beautiful. So I just pray that you are choosing pleasure. And when something doesn't feel good, that you at least stop to say, whoa, how do we improve this? Where do we go from here? Just because pain is present doesn't mean it has to continue. You don't have to keep causing the pain, rather. You may still feel the pain, but you don't have to make it worse. Like I said, if you cut yourself once, that's enough. You don't have to keep cutting yourself to feel that like, why? You can stop that sooner and say, once was enough. Let's not go through that again. Whatever it is, just get out of your way so that you can attract that man of God that you've been praying for. I hear y'all women saying Sierra's prayer, and now it's turned into some other woman's prayer. Maybe some social media influencers. I can't remember their name, but Sierra's more popular. It's always Sierra's prayer, Sierra's prayer. Yes, you can pray and do the work. Do both. I don't know the work Sierra did to get Russell behind the scenes. I see what she's doing in front of the camera. Just know it's not enough. And pay attention to who you're listening to. I want to spend more time on that in another video. Just pay attention who you're listening to. Like I said, men earlier, listen to men. Listen to the women around you. Some of them may be trying to keep you single, may be lying to you, telling you that, yeah, if you want a good quality man, you better shoot up that club, girl. Foolishness. Don't listen to that nonsense. So, with love, thank you for tuning in today. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, share with somebody that you think needs to hear this, may want to hear. Just share it anyway. You don't know who it'll reach. One person at a time. Let this reach somebody. So, with love, take care, and until next time.